An American has been arrested in the Philippines. A new storm to talk about that's affecting the Philippines. Lots of different earthquakes going on around the Philippines, and lots more news. So let's get into it. American fugitive arrested in Guimaras. Guimaras is an island just very short ferry ride out of Iloilo City. And what's the story? American fugitive arrested by agents of BI. Boyd Monty Murray, 64, was reportedly found in possession of several identification cards bearing different names. Murray reportedly failed to present a valid passport or immigration documents. He was arrested September 30th with the help of the Philippine Navy. Got everybody involved. The arrest stemmed from information provided by the United States Embassy that Murray has a pending arrest warrant for theft issued in Seattle, Washington in December 1994. Well, that's a long time ago. Suspect is reportedly facing multiple charges in several U.S. states, including possession of stolen vehicles, larceny, and other felony offenses. His U.S. passport has reportedly been revoked. No kidding. Yeah, back in the old days, you could travel to a different country or even different state and not be found out. You might be able to hide for a while, but in this digital age, information travels quickly, and more countries are sharing information. So beware if you're in trouble with the law. Probably best to get it straightened out before you try to find a place in the Philippines or some other place to hide out for a while. The suspect allegedly engaged in repulsive online behavior, including posting lewd remarks on social media accounts of underage girls. So first, let's talk about the storm. It's not a typhoon, probably won't turn into a typhoon, but it has entered the Philippine area of responsibility. This red box here is the Philippine area of responsibility, and once the storms come in from the cold Pacific, they cross that line, and then the Philippine names these storms if they're storms or tropical depressions, and the Philippine name is Ramal, and the international name is Fengshen. And so it was Fencheng out here, and then it's Ramal here, and when it leaves, it'll go back to the international name. But it is projected to come in around the Cataduenas area of Luzon, and then take a track. And there are lots of different models. There's Pagasa. I'll show you another site here in a second. There are many other models, and it's been many decades since I took a couple of meteorological courses, and there's a lot more data out there now. But still, amazingly, it's still, these tracks. There are so many factors affecting storms. You've got the sea currents and temperatures. You've got the air, many different levels of temperatures and currents, and conflicting uh, pressure systems. So many things, moisture, and anyway, yeah, they've got these numbers here are different warning, active warning areas, and so this is north area up here, and let's go down closer to Quezon and the metropolitan Manila area. The sun and the many energies and storms on the sun has a lot to do with the weather on Earth as well. Let's jump over to windy.com, and that's a free app. You can get on your computer or you can download it onto your phone. And anyway, it has so much information over here, and you can click the menu and it gives you a whole lot more information. I forget what I pay, $30, $40 a month or a year, something like that. I like to support channels that put out so much good information. And let's see, where am I here? Anyway, I was doing this video yesterday, Saturday. It's Sunday now, and it's a little bit dated. The storm has come on shore Sunday in the northern, top third of Mindanao or Luzon Island up there, and so they're getting some heavier rain, that type of thing. We've had pretty cloudy skies yesterday, but didn't really rain. Thought we might from the very outer bands. Even though these storms are hundreds of miles away, the outer bands it can affect, it can pull in moisture from the southwest, for instance. And talking about weather, we are switching in the transition time from the southwest monsoons, where the wind comes from the southwest primarily, more moist, to the northeast, what they call northeast monsoons, where the wind for several months will come primarily from the northeast and east primarily, and it will be generally drier, more sunny weather. This is our high season also, October, November, December especially, the Christmas months when so many people from the cold climates come to places like the Philippines. So we will see if tourism will see a big increase, because at the present time I think we're way behind pre-pandemic times. Way behind. I think 2024 was like 5 million tourism versus 9 million tourists during 2019 before the government lockdowns of travel. But you can use that app, windy.com, all over the world, and just amazing how much information. So yeah, it's a free app to use. Jumping over to Philippine news agency, Boracay, Palawan, Surigao voted among Asia's top islands. So yeah, the Philippines has so much to offer and continues to, from many different groups and magazines, the islands have ranked not only in Asia but across the world. Many of these island resort areas in the Philippines, and still quite inexpensive in most areas. Earthquakes. The Philippines has been in the news recently, and we have had. This is what's happened in the last 24 hours. This is a volcano. Uh, Volcano's an earthquake app, I believe, and they've got another one, Volcano Discovery, I believe it's called, but all takes you to the same place. Anyway, around the world map. New Zealand over here, my friends over in New Zealand, they've had a little shaking recently. Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, very common daily and weekly to get not only earthquakes, but they have several volcanoes going off at the same time. Go up here to the Philippines. I felt one just after 7 o'clock yesterday morning, sitting at my desk, and just real gentle movement. If I was moving around, I probably would not have felt it. But 4.7 down Mindanao, off Surigao, I believe. No, that's further south. That's closer to Davao. This is further north end of Mindanao. They've had these, I don't know if they're aftershocks. You had one over here, north of Palawan, a little bit unusual, and up in the north area of northern Luzon area in the last, this is past 24 hours. And so you have the, I believe it's the Philippine, is this the Philippine Trench out here? And then you've got something up here. I watched a video the other day. I follow several geology type channels and information online. You've got something called, comes from up Taiwan, the Manila Trench. I believe it's called the Manila Trench. It comes down along the west side of the Philippines. And forget exactly where it ends down here, but a lot of the experts keep their eye on that anyway. Zooming into northeast Mindanao, these here, 4-1, these are aftershocks, I believe. Another 4-1, 12 hours ago, 8 hours ago. And I'm up here in Cebu, and I forget how many miles away that is, over 200 miles away, I believe. And felt it over here. Felt the first one a couple days ago. It was very long, rolling, and we've had with the large earthquakes, 6.9 we had up here in Bogo City a couple weeks ago. Very long, hard earthquake down here. But many people who felt the 7.2 in 2013, the year 2013, was off the coast of Bohol over here, said that was much, much, much harder shaking in Cebu City than the one we had recently from the one up here near Bogo City. Just give you an idea. And not very much damage. There's a little bit of, we've got a couple extra cracks in floor tile. And we've got out in one of the hallways, there's a little bit of plaster coming off the walls. There's a vlogger down here, and I think he's living on Luzon Island. They had a pretty strong quake the other day, and he was showing the house he lives in, and he said all these cracks on the plaster on the block are not from the earthquake. They were there before the earthquakes. That's just part of the construction method here, the way they do things. It dries up and it establishes all these various cracks. I have walking around for several days after the large earthquake, and buildings that I thought would not survive, even under construction, and old, dilapidated buildings. I thought, man, if there's a hard earthquake, surely that thing is going to go down, and they're still up. And yeah, a lot of people, a lot of houses either collapsed or they are unlivable, and they're damaged in northern Cebu. And you've got Tent City. They put up a lot of tents. They bring in a lot of food and that type of thing. But they're planning on bringing in a lot of like mobile homes, that type of thing for people to live in. I believe. I'm not sure where they get them. We do have we have a few places that they set up during the pandemic and they never used. I think they've got quite a few of those set up to a couple different places. And here's another article just came up. They order modular homes for Davao Oriental quake victims. There are a couple companies. There's a company out of Manila that makes modular homes. And I'm not sure this is out of Manila or some other area manufacturer here in the Philippines. When the earth moves, you've got issues, obviously. One thing I've said, this is Cebu Daily News, Maragondon, which is on Mactan Island, and this barangay residents endure a 3-month water shortage. City steps in. And imagine that, water shortage. We've had that. We had the weather goes in cycles. 2015, when I came here, the wet season was a drought. 4 years later, 2019, the wet season was a drought year. 4 years later, 2023 was even a worse drought year. And they had ship water in. By truck to a lot of places. And fortunately, the condos I lived in had water. We didn't have the issue, but I've had friends that lived in areas, and the water trucks had to bring water, pump it up to the rooftop tanks. And a lot of Filipinos, they had to get up in the middle of the night, and there would be water trucks scheduled to come in. They would go down on this line up down the street with their containers, and sometimes the water truck would show up on time, sometimes it wouldn't show up for who knows what reasons. But You want to, water is pretty important, and you want to when you decide where to live, you want to find out if water is an issue. Do they have deep wells, for instance, versus what happens when there's a drought? Is the shallow wells run out of water? Well, we took a week trip over to Bohol during one of those droughts. Rented a motorbike. We're going around. We found a nice little out of the way resort, and we're going to stay there. And they said, well, we don't have any water. We don't have any water. I said, well, do you discount the price then? No, 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 same price, but we don't have any water. You can drink, you can buy the bottled water, but what do you bathe in? Well, they haul water up from the sea, so you take a bath in salt water, I guess. So anyway, we went on down the road and found a different place that did have water. Residents of these barangays are currently dependent on water trucks to meet their daily needs because MCWD's bulk water supplier, Mactan Rock Industries, could no longer produce enough potable water due to the high salinity of its water source. And not only water but electricity with so many with so the increased demand with so many new condominiums, hotels, subdivisions going in, that's a huge increase in demand for water and for electricity. And even 8, 9 years ago, I started questioning that. Very rare that I read stories about how are we going to deal with all this increase, and so it's something to think about, plan for. And then I just came upon this story: the Philippines among frontrunners in nuclear energy push. And I think, they're talking more and more. They're developing quite small uh, nuclear power plants that can be set up a lot quicker than these huge plants that we're used to seeing. The Philippines is among the 3 countries in Southeast Asia that are front runners in the nuclear energy build. Getting back to disaster relief, this earthquake, local officials described North Cebu traffic as catastrophic. The 6.9 earthquake in Bogo, which is usually would be 2.5, 3 hour drive from Cebu City because of the narrow roads. And after the earthquake, everybody and their brother and sister were headed north. And I've met a couple people, one real estate in her family lives in Bogo, and they're going up, filled their car with as much as they could, and they're going up. Vloggers are a certain percentage, people going up, people just going up, and they're trying to, my idea, you should use ships, load those ships up. But the logistics, it was taking over 12 hours. People say over 12 hours to go what usually takes 2.5, 3 hours. And gas stations are going to run out of gas. Food stores are going to run out of food as people pull in there to eat. Restaurants are going to run out of food. There's some pictures of just backed up traffic going all the way north. Crazy. Anyway, that's the news for today. I get up, I have something to eat, some coffee, and I check the news, Filipino news, world news, and I could do a segment just about every day actually, but I wait until there are items in there I think that are either interesting or useful for everybody. And I could do a segment on world news every day. And thinking about that, I don't know how many would be interested in that. But anyway, thanks for coming along. Look forward to your comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Phil Starr, 300 super health centers not operational. Department of Health has already identified 300 super health centers classified as incomplete, or those that were turned over to the local government but have not operated since. I guess this is a picture of an open lot and meant to be a health center and nothing there. Wow. Another quake-related story, Davao down in Mindanao, they had the 7.4 and the 6.8 earthquakes, and the death toll there is up to 8. And there's another reason, even though it was a larger earthquake, it was much deeper into the earth versus the very shallow earthquake in North Cebu, Bogo area. The shallower it is, usually the more shaking, the more damage you get. Increased seismic activity seen in Bulasan volcano. And yeah, you get venting. We've got a number of active volcanoes in the Philippines, Canleon, and others. And on a rare occasion, one will spout off quite a bit. But anyway, this is PhilVolks is the agency that keeps track of volcanic earthquakes and different emissions, that type of thing. This is from the journal BI. FSU arrests 6 Japanese fugitives in Bulacan, and allegedly connected with the infamous JP Dragon Gang were arrested by Bureau of Immigration. Harada and his accomplices reportedly posed as law enforcement officers to deceive elderly victims into surrendering their ATM cards and personal information, which were then used to make unauthorized withdrawals amounting to a substantial sum. Wow. And last but not least, FDA flagged skin lightening products among those banned in New York for containing toxic mercury. Eco Waste is, I don't know, some type of organization. I need to read more about them. They put out different information about pollution in our products and other things. But yeah, there's so many. You know, products come in from all over the world here in the Philippines, from Thailand and China, some from India, and Thailand and China in particular are always in the news for having products that contain mercury and other toxins. And boy, I tell my wife, just really be careful what you're buying. Understand what the items that are listed. And I think this is a list down here of the many items that have been flagged. Yeah, skin lightening products found to contain mercury by the Office of the Attorney General of New York State. I don't know if they're all being sold here in the Philippines or not, but anyway, article if you want to read it on the journal.